Tuesday mornings, we're joined by Scott Pioli, a three-time Super Bowl champion who was with New England, he was with Kansas City, he was with Atlanta. He is now with us here. Scott, welcome to Good Morning.
Hey, Scott.
How are you, my friend?
Good morning, crew. How is everyone today?
Good.
Oh, we're doing great. Look, we're just talking about Tom Brady. It loses to the Cowboys, and of course, now it's speculation time. What were your thoughts watching Tom walk off the field on Monday night, and where is this thing going forward?
You know, Peter, I had a lot of time to think about, like all of us did, because as we saw that game going, it was such a blowout. We knew that this was going to be the last game of the season for Tommy. And, you know, people are kind of trying to speculate as to what he's going to do and what do we think he's going to do. And honestly, I don't have an opinion on what he's going to do because I know that Tom doesn't know what he's going to do yet. And that's the thing right now. Last year was a very, very tough year for him. You know, I listened to you earlier, Peter. You mentioned the loss to the Rams, the eventual Super Bowl champion, how exhausting that was for him, how exhausting that season was for him. Then he goes through that awkward retirement, which when that happened, I knew that that wasn't for real, or I guessed that that wasn't for real. His heart just didn't see him in retirement. And then he goes through all of his family situation and the divorce this year. This has been a really emotional year. What I do know about Tommy is that sometimes he is very, I don't want to say impulsive, but he's certainly emotional and reacts emotionally. And then there's other times he's exceedingly thoughtful. After what happened last offseason, I really think that he's going to sit down and take quite a bit of time to figure this out, because right now he doesn't know. And I could kind of see at that reaction, you know, when he came off the field, as he was entering a tunnel, he saw his mom and his dad. He gave them both a quick hug and a kiss, and his sister Nancy was there. I would think that when something ends for him, he's going to have a lot more time to think about it and be a lot more emotional.
You know what, Scott, specifically, though, I want to ask you, when you look at how the makeup of Tampa as a team looks and, you know, how Tom Brady played within that system this year, let's say if he does play again, is Tampa the system? Is that the team? Is that the place physically for him to be? Or are there other teams that you think, in this current state that they're in, more ripe for him to land at?
Jamie, I don't know if it's so much the system as it is going to be his surrounding and supporting cast. Because remember, when he went to Tampa Bay, that was a very strong team from a personnel standpoint. They were built that year, I don't want to say for a one-year run, but they pushed a lot of chips in. Different but similar to what the Rams did to get their world championship. So in addition to Tommy going there, it wasn't just the system. Tommy's system is what Tommy is, and that's the way it's going to be. So to me, if he does play for another team next year or whatever team he plays for, he's probably going to be looking for a supporting cast and a very strong roster that he knows that he can not only have players to distribute the ball to, but most importantly, make sure that he's protected and also has a good running game so he can work off of his play action, which is one of the most important parts of his game.
Here's the thing, Scott. There was fodder in early December when Jimmy Garoppolo went down with the 49ers that, oh, wow, what an amazing story that would be if Tom Brady could go back and play for his childhood team. Yeah. And then Brock Purdy starts playing, and Brock Purdy has yet to lose a game as a starter. You were a part of the Patriots front office when Drew Bledsoe went down. Tom Brady stepped in. Now it seems like an obvious choice that the Pats went with Brady. But was that decision that easy at the time? And how do the 49ers handle this challenge they have this offseason with a quarterback decision?
Jamie, this is a good problem to have, because when you look at this on the surface, the major similarity between the 49ers situation and what we had in the Patriots was that an injury created opportunity for an unknown quarterback. But as you talked about, you know, the 49ers started their season with Trey Lance, then it was Jimmy G, and then Brock Purdy, who Kyle was able to develop and that entire staff was able to develop. But to me, what's really interesting about this is you've got three starting level quarterbacks on that roster right now. Jimmy G's on a one-year contract. You know, in December and late November, we were talking about, well, will Jimmy G be back? I think that Brock Purdy's play has told us Jimmy G is no longer going to be there at the end of the season. But when you're the 49ers, you're sitting there looking at two starting level quarterbacks that are both under rookie contracts. That is gold, because when you have two quarterbacks under rookie contracts, you have an unbelievably manageable salary cap situation, but you also have two players that are going to compete to be the starting quarterback. And as we know, competition brings out the best in people as players, and sometimes it brings out the worst. But my guess is with these two, it'll bring out, meaning Trey Lance and Brock Purdy, it'll bring out the absolute best in those players. So this is a fantastic situation, quite honestly, that the 49ers are going to be looking forward to in 2023.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating one that we'll all be watching. Quarterback question marks aplenty. Down in Baltimore, they're dealing with their own quarterback question marks. Lamar Jackson has been the storyline for the entire week. How do you see this stuff with him and the Ravens playing out throughout the offseason?
Jason, the way I see this playing out is Baltimore has to find a way to get this done. And hopefully Lamar will find a deal and be offered a deal that he eventually is comfortable with. But here's the bottom line. If you're the Baltimore Ravens, you're really sitting in the driver's seat, because what they do have is the ability to impose the franchise tag on Lamar. Lamar's a very strong and smart young man, and you never know how someone is going to respond to the franchise tag when they receive it. But what that will do, that will allow there to be focus once emotions are eliminated. If the Ravens have to use the franchise tag, it'll allow emotions to be eliminated after some time, and hopefully a long-term deal get done. But to me, I cannot see any situation where the Baltimore Ravens let Lamar go and let him end up in another situation, because until you have a solution, you can't create a problem.
But, Scott, they're already partying in the streets here in New York City, and they've photoshopped his face into a million different Jets uniforms. Are you telling them they should stop the celebration?
Yeah, I think they should stop the celebration.
Well, we're celebrating an incredible new name, Monti Ossenfort. And I say new, just new across the country. He is a Minnesota native. He's 44 years old, and he's the new general manager of the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals, who have the #3 pick in the draft and a brand new GM and a lot of change with a new head coach coming. Scott, you have history with this gentleman, Monti Ossenfort. Tell us about him.
Yeah, Kyle, I was just shocked. You said 44 years old. So I met Monty back when he was 24 years old. He had just finished like a summer internship or a part-time internship with the Houston Texans, and he was in a coffee shop, actually contemplating whether or not he was going to become an FBI agent. He didn't know where his life was headed. And I called him, interviewed him, talked to him, and gave him one of our entry-level scouting positions. And he did a year of that, and he essentially kind of came to me and said, hey, take this job and shove it. I think I've got an opportunity down in Houston, because those entry-level personnel assistant jobs, man, they are tough sledding. There's a lot that's learned, but it's really tough. And Monty wasn't too crazy about that job, so he goes down to Houston for 2 years. And then 2 years later, he and I remained in contact, and it was a perfect set of circumstances where we had a full-time area scouting position open up. Monty's contract was up. He wanted to come back. So we essentially, had this spot. Hey, Monty, I said to him, please come home. He came back, and he then remained for another, I want to say it was like 14 years, was able to win 4 Super Bowls at the Patriots during that time. But, Monty, when we hired him way back, he was, a former quarterback at that powerhouse Minnesota Duluth. So he knew football. He was smart, incredibly hard worker, really a grinder. But he, I'm so happy for him, so proud of him. The Arizona Cardinals have hired a guy, again, who's smart, who's thoughtful, and really is going to do a really good job, I believe.
That's a great blessing from you, Scott, and from someone who actually knows him really well. That's incredible. Cool story. FBI to Houston to take this job and shove it to then 4 Super Bowls and several seasons in the New England system. Scott, that's why we love having you on. Monti Ossenfort, if you're watching, congratulations. New GM of the Arizona Cardinals.
Congrats, Monty.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Thanks, Scott.
See you, Scott.